Hi, I am DaynaLN Knuckles, the People's Oracle. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's live reading, which is for the full moon for May 2020. I'm talking to YouTube over here. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment. Whenever you interact with any content that I put on YouTube, it signals to the algorithm that you love it, that you benefit from it, that you want other people to love it, that you want other people to benefit from it. You want them in on this good. So please remember to like this video, subscribe, put a comment. The more you interact with this video, the more people are going to see it. So don't be scared, okay? Hey, Instagram, how y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? I hope y'all doing all right. I've got cards. Now today, I'm trying to really get in harmony with Saturn. I'm really trying to reverence Saturn. I'm really trying to let Saturn know that you know what? I see you. I feel you. I recognize you. I know you. Work, boo. And so with that, I'm only going to do two cards today. So one person from Instagram, one person from YouTube, and please, clients of mine, allow someone else who has not ever had an opportunity to get a card pull. Thank y'all. To have an opportunity, if you have gotten a single card pulled from me during previous readings, you know what? It's okay. Let somebody else have a chance. Okay. So who wants to card? All right, DMV Epicurean, I'm pulling one for you on Instagram. And see, people already not following the rules. I said, if you are a client of mine, that means if you have a reading this week, I'm not going to call no names. If you on my books for this week, let somebody else have a turn. Okay. DMV Epicurean on Instagram. This is for you, lovers. You're at a crossroads, boo. Crossroads. It's the thuggish, ruggish bone. Anyways, see you at the crossroads. You won't be lonely. You know what I'm saying? Crossroads means, you know what? I've been walking towards that path. That path's whack. And so I probably should walk towards this path, but this path is hard, looks like it hurts, might not be easy, really uncomfortable, really unfamiliar, DMV Epicurean. This lover's card on the bottom for you is about being at a point where you know you need to give up some habit, some emotional pattern, some relationship, some job, something where it has been too much and over for too long and you just hanging on just for play. It's time to let it go. So let's see what this card is for you. Seven of Pentacles. Now that is really a contradiction because I really feel like what this is saying is that you might have an issue with patience, really being able to discern when you should continue investing your energy in something and when it's time to be like, oh, you know what? That is not going to bear any fruit. So this moment, this crossroads, I also get the feeling that you're the kind of person that, you might call yourself loyal to a fault, DMV Epicurean. Loyal to a fault where, you're ride or die. If you commit to something, you're not going to give up. But it's clear that that kind of behavior, that kind of disposition is not... it is not serving you any longer, DMV Epicurean. No longer should your identity and sense of pride be rooted in how loyal you can be to somebody or something that's probably not as loyal to you and will probably throw you under the bus given the first opportunity. This is your moment for change. Don't let those agreements and those kind of ideals that you have about what relationships or commitment should look like in any context keep you from knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them, boo. Sometimes you got to let go. And it's hard because when you let go, it leaves a vacuum of empty space. And that's the most difficult thing for many of us to deal with. But you got this. It's your time. It's a full moon, moment of revelation and clarity for you, DMV Epicurean. I hope that was helpful for you. Okay, who we got over here on YouTube? Elizabeth Wages. That's the first name that I looked at. So it's for you, boo. Elizabeth Wages. This is I'm just pulling cards for a couple people. And then we're going to move on to the astrology and the tarot reading for the full moon. But I've made a habit of pulling cards. So only for one person from each stream. I just did someone for Instagram. So if you would like to be chosen to get a card pulled for you at the beginning of this reading, please come early or on time. And it's kind of like the first person I see who's not a client of mine or who I've not previously pulled a card for. It's your turn. You're welcome, DMV Epicurean. All right, Elizabeth Wade. Hold on. Cards flew across the room. Hold on. Okay. All right. Elizabeth Wages. Let's see. For you, my friend. You are my friend. Magician. You know what this said to me as soon as I picked up this card, Elizabeth Wages? It said real loud, you got the skills to pay the bills, boo. So I don't know what this is about, but I just know the card said really loudly, you got skills to pay the bills. No, seriously, the Magician card is having the will, skill, expertise. It's about being adept. Do you know what being adept means, or being adroit, right? Being adept means that you know how to handle it, you know how to finesse it, you know how to work with it, you know how to use your hands, your skills to make it do what it do, right? So what do we have here? No wonder that card said so loudly to Elizabeth Wages that she got the skills, or they have, sorry, don't want to misgender you, that they have the skills to pay the bills. The King of Pentacles is about a card, so about a job. So Elizabeth, if you are on the market for a new job, if you're ready to switch careers, don't be worrying about no pandemic. This pandemic is opening doors, making ways for some people. Those of us who this is opening doors for, this is your opportunity to take your blessing and be a blessing. Let me just say that to all of y'all, but specifically to you. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad for opportunities that are opening up for you. You know, embrace the fact that you're finally feeling some clarity about the skills and expertise that you have and how you can turn that into some money for yourself. I just want to say this to everybody. If this pandemic has opened doors for you that have previously been shut, if you feel more free than you ever have, if you are feeling like finally I got a moment to breathe, there is no reason to feel guilty. The only rule is when you are blessed, you be a blessing. And that's how this is. You felt the opposite of that your entire life. Well, I think you need to stop playing yourself, Elizabeth, because the cards are really clear. There's an opportunity available for you, and you need to build up the confidence, the wherewithal to go after it and go get it. King of Pentacles is a great card to get if you're looking for a job or making a career switch. It means the capacity to harness wealth, and combined with the Magician, that means that you have the skills and finesse and able to just work it into your favor. Okay? All right? Okay? Let me slow down my roll here. I'm so freaking excited, y'all. I'm so excited. Where are my notes at? I'm so excited that I even wrote notes, right? I wrote down like actual notes. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this graphic. I don't even know if I could pull it up. Can I pull up the graphic? If you didn't see it, you probably saw it, because if you hear, that means that you probably saw it. But let me just show y'all, for y'all that didn't see it. You see that? These swords? Now, when I get ready to come on, look, Elizabeth, everybody is hyping you up. You better take all of this, okay? No, when I get ready to prepare for these lives, the first thing that I do is I have to create a graphic. Now, you know me, everything's with meaning, intention, and purpose, direct, right? So I go to my little place where I get my graphics from that I pay for, because people's art deserves to be paid for. And if I got the money to pay for it, I'm gonna pay for the art. Let that be a lesson to y'all. Don't have to be expensive. Pay artists. But I go look for some images, some artwork in order to create kind of a graphic that's going to draw people's attention, but also give people an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. So I went to my little place And I put in a variety of search terms that seemed relevant to this full moon in Sidereal Libra. And that image came up with those two swords, and Spirit was like, use that image. And I was like, why would I do that? Like, why am I why Zora Neil works something, you recognized it, that I'm matching my graphic. But it was like, why use that graphic? Like, what's the point? So I pulled out my little notebook and I was like, okay, let me pull up the chart for this full moon. Let me pull out my notebook. Let me go right back to the basics. And so the first thing I actually did in prepping for this reading today is pulled out my trusty, crusty, rusty, good old 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide. And I pulled up the chart and I said, oh crap, y'all. Not only is this not only is this a full moon in Libra, but Venus, the planet that is in charge of this full moon, she's boss, their boss. Venus might be trans. I don't even know. So I'm going to call Venus they. Venus is in charge, and Venus is at 27 degrees Taurus, moving slower than a turtle, right? So I was like, wow. So I really need to dig into the differences or the commonalities, or what is the relationship between Libra and Taurus. Now, this is just a little sidereal astrology lesson for you that just happens to be relevant to right now, today, next few days, and last week. So get your pens, get your papers, get your notebooks, whatever you need to write this down. This is some good stuff. I wrote it down, so you should write it down. Okay, so in my mind, I was visualizing that every planet has a dual nature. It has a yang, diurnal, daytime nature, right? And it has a yin, nocturnal nature. Libra is the yang, diurnal nature of Venus. Taurus is the yin, nocturnal nature of Venus. What does that even mean? Well, let's just use the words and the meaning that they're offering us. Diurnal means daytime. Daytime means the sun is out. Oh, y'all can't tell because of my lights, but the sun is out over there, right? The sun is out. Sun means conscious, aware, right? It is imposing. Nocturnal means nighttime, moon's in charge. It means yin, conforming, receptive, right? I'm going to go down my list here so that you all can stay with me and so I don't go off on a tangent, okay? Libra, and let's just lay this out really quick. Venus harmonizes, magnifies commonality, brings things together, blurs differences and distinctions. Harmonizes, meaning make them fit together. It blurs distinctions, magnifying what is common or similar, okay? Libra does this by magnifying common wills and ambitions. And just for the record, if you are on Instagram or YouTube and you have questions that come up, please on Instagram, put them into the question box. I will answer them when I get to that portion of today's broadcast. And for you on YouTube, please hold your question until I get finished, okay? So Libra harmonizes, magnifies commonalities of will and ambition, right? Taurus magnifies the commonalities of identity and appearance. I'm going to say that again. Libra magnifies and harmonizes, seeks to make fit together wills and ambition. That means action, what you do. You want to do A, I want to do B. Let's do 8.253, and now we found the middle ground, right? Or your B is going to kill everybody. So we're not going to do B. We're going to do A because we've all agreed that B is going to kill everybody. So we're going to do A, right? This is Libra. Taurus, where Venus is currently stationary retrograde at 27 degrees, is about magnifying common identities, generally based on appearance, what is shown, what is revealed. What Taurus teaches us and what Libra teaches us is just because I did this, don't mean that it wasn't something else that I really wanted to do for Libra. And just because I look like this doesn't mean it's who I am. Right? So behind Venus, if you're into the I Ching, this kind of reminds me of hexagram 22, adorning, right? Talking about the appearance versus the essence of something, right? Now, there's no value judgment here, but just know that at this moment, both aspects of this Venus are really loud. Now, both of these also talk about consequences, right? Libra is talking about legal consequences, remedies, codes, and rules, right? If you do A, B is going to happen, ideally, right? Libra is about standards. Both of these signs are about standards, but Libra is about standards for what actions you should take based on the agreed upon consequences for taking such action, right? Taurus is also about consequences, but this is about emotional and social consequences. The real difference here when we're talking about diurnal or yang Libra and nocturnal or yin Taurus is explicitly articulated rules for Libra and implied rules for Taurus, for which the consequences are emotional. See, when you don't look like they want you to look, you don't act like they want you to act based on your race, gender, class, or sexuality, whether it's the one you claim or the one they assign to you, right? What is the consequence? Rejection, right? I had a note in my phone so that I want to address once I get to this. What else did I say here? Libra imposes, right? Taurus conforms. Right? This full moon is so important to the larger astrology of this year because it puts the spotlight right on Venus, just as she's stationing retrograde in Taurus. Why have I called this full moon reading guilt and shame? Why? Guilt. Well, both of these things. No, I don't even want to say that. Let me put it to you this way. Guilt is an emotional state or thought process that comes in response to truly or perceived wrong action. Oh my God, I stepped on your toe. That's guilt. I'm so sorry. Ooh. Right? Shame is an emotional response to not being validated for who you are and how you feel. Guilt is an internal response used or that comes as a consequence as Layla's so funny. Winter, y'all are like, y'all need to meet each other. Layla and Winter, y'all need to meet. Y'all are going to be BFFs. But yes, guilt arises in a response to wrong action or even wrong thought, about doing wrong action, right? Guilt comes up when we think about doing something and the consequences, like, ooh, yeah, right? Or guilt comes from I did something wrong. I didn't follow the rules. And so guilt can be performative. Shame is never performative, but guilt can be performative. That image of a double-edged sword talks about how shame and guilt are both weapons that can be wielded right? What is the antidote for guilt? What is the antidote for shame? The antidote, hold on, I wrote down. Let me read it so I don't say it wrong. Hold on. Sometimes I be getting ideas in my car and then I got to stop and write them in here. Ah, whew. I hope y'all ready because I feel a sermon coming on. The antidote to guilt is atonement and or mercy. The antidote, the remedy for guilt is atonement and or mercy. I'm going to come back to that. Hold tight. What is the antidote for shame? The antidote for shame, the remedy for shame is a radical self-acceptance and honesty. Shame comes as a consequence of being invalidated and rejected for who you are and how you feel. Who you are is not welcome here. Your feelings are not welcome here. That's shame. When I ask in this 2020 Sidereal Astrology guide, hold on, let me turn to it for y'all real quick. Go to the month of May. Nope. Is it May? There's a little question here for May. And it says, what is your vision for coming to terms with your need for validation and acceptance? Don't even try to tell me that you don't need validation or acceptance, right? Don't even try to tell me that because I don't believe it. That's just some stuff that I'm going to talk about now, which is called internalizing expectations for Libra and internalizing oppression for Taurus. Let me just tell you something really quick for all of y'all wokey wokes who are always using your present political punditry and awareness as a weapon to judge and minimize other people who haven't been through what you've been through and what you've learned. Internalizing oppression is a survival strategy. Internalizing oppression, whether that is about blackness, heteronormativity, whether it is about white supremacy, maleness, cisgenderedness, internalizing those things, these are survival strategies. I just want you to let me know what would have happened to you if you really let on that you weren't really a girl at like 13. Like you really just were not the gender that you were assigned. Right? We see it all the time. All of these politicians who be the most anti-LGBTQ, most anti-black, and next thing you know, they come out gay with their black lover. They've internalized that oppression. Why? Because it gives them access to power. See, this is the thing. I know you guys want me to talk about sex and pretty things, and I love sex and pretty things. I mean, look at me. Can't you tell? And I have a kid. Obviously, I love sex and pretty things. Okay, we all love sex and pretty things, and that's great. And let's have a conversation about that too. But let's also have a conversation about internalized oppression as a survival strategy. You ever heard of social currency? This is the realm of Venus. This is the realm of Libra. This is the realm of Taurus. Moral posturing, virtue signaling. I'm a good person. Can't you see I'm a good person? I would never, ever, ever do that. Right? My identity, I'm a good person. Can't you tell? Right? What is social currency? Social currency is passing. Right? I'm a trans woman, but you can't tell because I look like real fish, right? That's social currency. Gives you access to power. No one would ever suspect you. Oh, look at me, light, bright, white, Cuban, black, mixed, mulatto. Puerto Rican, Irish. Nobody can tell though. I look white though. That's social currency. In here in America, right? Right? That's social currency in America. Proximity to power is social currency. This is all Venus, my boos. This is all about how can I make them like me so they can give me things, validate me, accept me. How do I have to dress? What's the tone of voice I need to talk in? Do I need to just raise my voice just a little bit? Because, I have kind of a deep voice. And so I don't want to intimidate the man by really talking to you the way that my voice really sounds. This is all performative. There's nothing wrong with being performative. You cannot always let them know what you really feel on the inside, because then you might have to smack a hoe. Am I right? Or am I right? You've been wanting to smack a hoe every now and then, right? Do I have anything else in my notes? I just really want to leave this portion of today's reading very clearly on this topic of internalizing oppression as a survival strategy, virtue signaling and moral posturing as a survival strategy, all about proximity to power, magnifying the ways. See, I'm not different. I'm a real person. I'm a real this, right? When we are a real this, no one can suspect that we might be different, right? Where is the place and space for our differences, right? Where is the place and space for that, right? I just want to direct you all to the fill in the blanks in the back of the 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide. Full moon in Libra says, realizing the consequences of my actions, right? When you internalize expectations of you, right, this is where guilt emerges. Now let's just be real here. Guilt and shame are not inherently bad things, right? Excuse me. Guilt and shame, are not inherently bad things. Trust me, if your little 5-year-old bites his sister on the face, you want him to feel guilty. Intellectualizing consequences is not always enough to change people's behavior to do the right thing and lead to no harm. Guilt appeals, Lord, here comes another sermon. Whew. Guilt and shame, when used constructively, appeals to the humanity of the transgressor. But it is the onus of the transgressor to atone, right? And it is on our own onus to show up as who we really, really, really are. If we are to be validated and accepted. I did a new moon reading for the new moon in Taurus last year. And when I did that reading, I said, look, y'all, this is evergreen content, because when we get to 2020, this Taurus is going to be loud. Your Taurus house is going to be loud. Venus is going to be in Taurus. We're going to have eclipses in Taurus, all the Taurus stuff, right? And I'm going to post the link to that video in my link tree on on Instagram, and I'm going to post it in the description of this video just in case you have trouble finding it, because it's so important to watch. Obviously, the next new moon that we have is going to be in Taurus, so I'll be doing another one, but this will be a little bit different because the planets are just in different places. Mostly Saturn and Jupiter are in different places. The other thing that it says here in the 2020 guide, Venus in Taurus stationary retrograde. Venus is perched. Venus is perched at 27 degrees Taurus, just waiting to do that. Right? Flip it and reverse it. I just posted this on Instagram and Twitter. What does that mean? Retrograde means sudden reversals, disruptions and delays in relationships and plans, finally coming to resolution in relationships, repairing that which has been broken in relationships. Okay? That's what this is about. In the 2020 guide, I say women and relationships demanding my attention. Who is like, look at me, come back here, pay attention, stay focused, boo. Is there a woman like that in your life? What relationships are demanding your attention? They're like, nope, you need to really come over here and pay attention to this. This is that Venus retrograde. If you don't have this, obviously I'm trying to sell them, but also I put my foot. If this was a pot of greens, let me just tell you, the pot liquor would be hit. Ting might need just a little sip of, orange pop to wash it down. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't have this, you're missing out. This is one part Sidereal Astrology calendar. You see the calendar. Workbook. Oh, where is it? Hold on. See the questions? Right? I've been doing my workbook. Have you been doing your workbook? Right? You see, I got my natal chart placements, right? This is also a journal and it's a reference. Are you struggling to find out WTF sidereal zodiac signs mean? Boo, I laid it out for you. It's all right here. Don't worry. I got you. Have you been wondering what exactly? Destiny said, handy dandy workbook. True. Have you been wondering what it means, for example, when the sun is transiting a house? Guess what? I wrote it down here for you. And I'm going to leave with this before I pull these cards. Let me just tell you. Don't let your lack of astrological knowledge be a barrier to you effectively using astrology. You don't have to study for 50 gazillion years. My stream is acting dumb. Hold on, y'all. It says my... Oh, okay, wait. I think it's back. Okay, I think it's coming back. Sorry, y'all. So you can get the 2020 guide from my online shop. Just go to thepeoplesoracle.com or click shop, or you can go to shop.thepeoplesoracle.com. Okay. I'm so sorry to my YouTube people. It's just a little bit of buffering. Hopefully it'll come back. Yes, I am working on Taurus, Scorpio, eclipse guide. It's coming, I promise you. Okay. Sorry, YouTube. Oh, it should be back now. Nope. It's just a real struggle, and I don't know why. Let me see. Let's see here. Well, that's okay. YouTube is not receiving enough video. No, what does it say? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Okay. All right. That's my child. What is it, Saru? I can't come to the door because I'm attached. What? Talk to me. Use your words. What is it? Bye. Oakley dokley. All right. It's time for this portion of the reading where I use my Golden Thread Tarot to pull some cards. I never know what these cards are going to say, but I'm here for the ride just like you guys while we're here, YouTube. Please remember to like this video, subscribe, comment. The more you interact with this video and any content I create, the more likely it is that other people will see it. It'll show up in their recommended content. It'll show up on their homepage. It'll show up in their playlist randomly. You know, just spread love. Share me. Share me. Pass me around. Okay? All right. This is our collective wisdom for the full moon in Libra, which is tomorrow, May 7th, 2020. I just broke down Libra and Venus in all of these themes that we're dealing with personally and collectively. So let's see what the wisdom is that these cards have for us. Thank you, Shar. Lovers. Oh my God. Remember I just pulled that for somebody? Lovers. This is for the lover in you. Yeah, so Crossroads. I already sang for this. Do I need to sing it again? See you at the crossroads, you won't be lonely. Right? Y'all remember that video? That was kind of scary when I was a kid. Bone Thugs and Harmony, and didn't his like uncle die or something, and they like at the cemetery, the graveyard. That was a real scary for me as a kid. Lovers, Crossroads. One of the things that trips me out about lovers is there are a lot of cards that can mean like two binaries in some way. And I know that you guys, like, again, everyone likes to talk about love and relationships. I do too, but also I know that most people just really are not dealing with that in the way that it is generally spoken about in astrology. I think that modern astrology does a really crap job of creating language and context for humans as relational beings in general, right? That there isn't some kind of separate part of astrology that has to do with relationships, okay? All planets are relationship planets. If you need more on that, watch my video, which is Love is Blind Quarantine Edition, Venus Retrograde. So yeah, but what is the lovers? What is this binary? The lovers is really interesting because the kind of choice of the lovers reminds me of that gif from Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he's like, you know, it's like neither choice is really like, oh my God, I love it. I want to do it. I need it so bad. It's more like, eek, that's whack and I need to stop doing that. Like, this is a really bad habit or behavior, a bad situation. It's whack, it's whack, it's whack. Can't do it anymore. And then life be like, oh, okay, go this direction. You're like, wait a minute. Wait. Just because I'm trying to like stop doing this and walk over there, like walk away from that, don't mean I'm trying to go all the way over here to do this. Like, you're doing the most, life. Lovers talks about these difficult choices where it feels like a sacrifice is inevitable. And the sacrifice is often your comfort and familiarity, the very thing that's kept you latched on, plugged in, and invested, gotta let go of. And that's a really hard, because you just can't flip a switch and be like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. But sometimes life be like, yes, you are. You're ready to move on. So there's a lot about negotiating with ourselves in the lovers, that we're negotiating with our habits and tendencies. We're negotiating with our emotional patterns. We're negotiating with our desires. And we're really trying to get down to the essence of what our desire actually is. Like, what is it that you really want that would bring you fulfillment outside of the binary of options that are available to you? Is this a convenience thing? There's nothing wrong with convenience. Sometimes we do need to invest in those relationships and circumstances that are convenient. But the lovers is really talking about doing something that makes you uncomfortable, because you're already uncomfortable. And so there's no reason to avoid the other uncomfortable things, since you're already uncomfortable anyways. So in your life, where are you already uncomfortable and you're like just playing mind games with yourself, avoiding that other thing that's also uncomfortable? Right? I'm going to leave it at that. What we got here? Magician. Hey. Emperor. We getting some boss energy here. And 6 of Cups. I reckon that the last time you and I came together for a little tarot ditty here, that we had that Six of Cups. And if I'm not mistaken, it was also in this same position. I love what Winter said about the Lover's card here, the discomfort of growth versus the discomfort of suffering. Suffering can be familiar, but it can also be whack. And sometimes the familiarity of suffering seems like the easier choice. But I'm going to leave that up to you and your spirits and your guides and your conscience and your values and your business, because I'm not here to tell you what to do. You just know that, just like a butterfly, I mean, butterflies don't really have any choice, so that's not a good example. But my point being is that, like, you can't play small and be small forever. Grow up. Be a big girl. Be a big boy. Be a big person. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it makes me think of like puberty. That's what the Lovers makes me think of. Puberty, right? Puberty is like your voice is changing. You cannot make it go back. The boobs are blossoming. You can't push them suckers back in to make little concave things on your chest. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it. Can't do it. But also, like, you're gonna have a grown-up body now, and it's like you can't be young and I was gonna say something real stupid, but I'm not, because I'm a grown-up that says grown-up things. You can't be young and naive forever. And once you know certain things, you have to adjust your behavior and expectations and actions and choices to match that knowledge. That's the other thing that just came up for me. This card is still talking. That's the other thing that just came up for me. The Garden of Eden that's traditionally in this image. And it's really about knowledge, about not being able to unknow what you know. It's about, becoming aware of something and trading your innocence and naivety for wisdom and knowledge. And I'm going to leave it there. I know that's relevant to somebody somewhere. All right, we got the Magician, the Emperor, and the Six of Cups. Let's start at the Six of Cups and work our way backwards, because these are some two heavyweights here. The Six of Cups here, they're really, I guess, this theme going even back to the new moon in Aries just a couple weeks ago. This theme of longing for the past, people from the past, situations from the past, re-emerging, desires and wishes from the past, re-emerging. I think that in the theme of both this Libra and this Taurus, there are ambitions from the past that are resurfacing. There are relationships that are resurfacing. I know for me personally, as far as like, when I was talking about Venus and Taurus and identity and shame being about not being validated for who you are, just as we've led up to this full moon, I've been thinking about all of the different relationships with women that I have really been cultivating since, and you should be thinking of this too. What are the relationships that you've been cultivating since the fall of 2018, when Jupiter was in Libra and Venus was retrograde in Libra? What kinds of relationships have become the cornerstone of your life? How have these relationships that you've been cultivating and investing time and energy in allowed you to embrace certain parts of your identity that you really didn't have space for? And I really want you to see the connection between validation in your relationships and your willingness to show up authentically to receive that validation. We're all going to deal with shame and fear of rejection and abandonment, but there's something about this moment that connects back to 2018 and how the relationships that you've been building and investing in have changed you. And not necessarily changed who you are at your essence, but it's created spaces for you to live certain parts of who you are out loud. Okay? The Six of Cups, there's a nostalgia about this card, this longing. And I don't think that that's negative in this sense. I think that there's something about simplicity here, about clearing away the excess and getting down to the essential of what it is that we've been longing for and wanting to cultivate and create in our lives all together. If we connect this back to the Lovers, there really is, I think, this moment that we're in that strips us of our naivety, that forces us to reckon with the temporal nature of time in our mortality. And when we really come to know and really feel and understand that eventually you're gonna die and that death might be just a little bit closer than you thought, there's no more time for living that suffering life, right? That this is a moment that can spur us to courageous action. This is a moment that can spur us to live authentically and show up in a way that our tribe can really find us. Who are you? Who is your tribe? Your tribe are the group of people who see you as you really are. Your tribe is the group of people who find you and recognize you because the commonalities you share, you're living them out loud. Where did I say this? This was in my 2020 forecast talk. I was talking about this Venus retrograde, and I was talking about, like, girl, you ain't no clown. Why you got on a clown mask? You wondering why you got a tribe full of clowns around you because you got on this clown makeup and this clown mask. Stop acting like a clown. You ain't no clown. Take that clown face off. Who are you really? See, there is a way that performative behaviors are positive. They signal to your tribe, I'm one of you. I'm one of you. See me. Recognize me. Now, we all take on these behaviors in unconscious ways, right? We find ourselves wanting to fit in, right? And if in grade school, fitting in means making fun of the girl with the busted shoes, then that's what we're going to do. We don't really know better to have ethics or morals at that age, right? We've got the Emperor and the Magician. When I tell you that these are two banging tag team cards, I mean, the Magician really just amplifies any card that it's next to. The Magician is this space of being so in touch with your skills and what you're capable of that you feel divinely powerful. The Magician is being able to work with the materials that you've been given in a skillful and adept way. Like, you know how to handle this, you know the right words to say, you have the precise skills that are needed to solve this problem or complete this task, and you're able to access it on demand. This is a rare time where there's a synchronicity between your will, what is expected or required of you in a moment, and your own capability to actually do it. The Magician is such a great card because it's about being ready. It's about being ready with your tools on deck, your tools in hand. It's about having access to what you need and knowing the right thing, right? You're not sputtering too like, is this what? No, it's like, nope, this is what I'm going to use to do this. There's a right time, right place, right season thing to the Magician. It's, you know, the Magician is really, really this like master of ceremonies. The masters of ceremonies has been trained to conduct ritual. He has the appropriate guard. He knows the correct sequence of words to say to initiate some kind of magic, right? So in our lives, this translates to being a great communicator who knows how to use words to elicit the certain response, knowing how to use language to articulate something clearly so it's intelligible and understood by other people, right? I just want to really encourage you. And again, I have to give this caveat because I know that there are many of us who are suffering and there are many of us who are dealing with death at our doorstep, in our homes and in our families. We're dealing with unemployment and loss of money. We're dealing with the kind of uncertainty that there is nobody, nowhere, or nothing we can lean on to give us a sense of sureness. I want you to lean into that uncertainty. And I want you to understand that you don't need intellectual knowledge to survive this moment. This is a moment where the wisdom of your humanness is what keeps you surviving. You don't have to think about how to survive. Your body knows how to survive. You wouldn't be here otherwise. The solutions to the problems that we have right now are not about thinking, and researching and looking at books. There is no point in you worrying and fretting beyond your normal everyday routine about survival. Yes, take your precautions and do what is within your power, but understand that you are here because your grandmother and your grandfather and their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents and all of the community around them, they survived. They survived, right? And so you have the wisdom of being human in you that knows how to survive. You don't have to think about it. You don't. Trust me. Collectively, we know how to make do. I think that there is something here about thinking so far ahead into the future that you miss the opportunities at present for you, right? For me, that's looked like baking. Can I really get into my meals that I'm preparing for myself? Can I focus wholeheartedly on the tasks that are in front of me? This moment now is all that we're sure of, and we'll greet the next challenge when we get there. I really think there's so much encouragement here for you learning the wisdom of your body, learning the wisdom of your humanness, of this great human organism, right? Emperor. Emperor likes to be in control. And it's really such an awkward juxtaposition to have the Six of Cups and the Emperor right next to each other, because the Emperor can be very, very heavy-handed in that the Emperor wants order, the Emperor wants structure, the Emperor wants a plan, the Emperor wants to control execution, the Emperor wants to be the boss and be in control. And the Six of Cups, right? I feel like it's this like faint song and this faint voice in the background of this moment, calling us back to who we really are as individuals and collectively. And this requires us individually to recall who we are. See, we don't have to go out and do all the shucking and jiving and performing the way that we did before, because ain't nobody even leaving the house. I mean, if you in one of those states that's decided to leave the house, I mean, I hope you're not leaving the house. And I hope you know that next week that this is about to hit the fan in a big way. And these people are going to be like, oops. And they're going to blame it on you. But don't blame it on you, because the leaders got to take responsibility for their choices, right? So there is I almost feel like the magician and the emperor, and they're like running, and they're like, yeah, let's go. We got this. We're going to do it. And then the Six of Cups is like, it's like, what's Lawrence Fishburne character in The Matrix, or the Oracle in The Matrix? They're like, but do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember the time? Oh, I'm like a jukebox, man. I got a song for everything, right? I just want to say, temper your drive to control everything. Tap into the wisdom of your body. See this moment as a departure from the old ways and an embrace of remembering the old ways. The old ways are what everyone is grasping so hard to hold on to, right? Everyone is grasping so hard because it's the familiar. We just want to get back to work. We just want to get back to work. But this is a moment of freedom, unlike any previous generation in American history has ever felt. Maybe the closest to this kind of freedom that was felt were the days and weeks and months immediately following emancipation. Yes, there are people who wanted to stay on the plantation. They were afraid, but that wasn't most of them. You know, in my 2020 forecast talk, if you don't have it, you actually can get that free when you download the 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide PDF. So no. You get that free when you purchase the printed one. You can get the 2020 talk free when you purchase the printed guide. But in that, the introduction is actually up on my blog, and I talked about Exodus, and I talked about how, I mean, and this is the story as it's told in the Bible, that when the Israelites left Egypt and Moses had finally freed them, and they were just like roaming the desert, like, we ain't got no home, we ain't got no house, we ain't got no job, we ain't got no food, we hungry, where we gonna sleep, what we gonna eat, take us back, Moses, take us back to Pharaoh, please. They were like, look, this uncertainty is a little bit too much. Freedom is cute and all when you're like in bondage, but now that we're here, I really think I like bondage better. Like, I really like to like slave from sun up to sundown. At least like we had mealtime and we were fed. Like, at least we had like a roof over our heads, even if they were beating our asses during the day. Like, I just want to go back to bondage. I just think that it's just so much more comfortable and better for us. Like, let's do it. And no. Ain't no going back, boo. Ain't no going back. That's all I got to say about that. I want to wrap this up because there's 4 minutes left on Instagram. So I'm going to wrap up this reading on Instagram, and then I'm going to come back and take questions. But this is a moment of freedom. You have the keys in your hand. Ain't no going back, bitch. Okay? Ain't no going back. It's too late. The structures were already falling apart, and we complete the work of dismantling them by walking towards our freedom. Yes, it's scary. Yes, we don't know how we're going to eat or where our food is going to come from. Yes, we don't know where we're going to live. But guess what? Right now, today, your body remembers. Your body knows how to survive. Tap into the wisdom of being human. You made it this far through some difficult stuff, and I promise you the immediate threats that some of y'all dealt with are way worse than this pandemic. So if you have shelter and if you have food, say your prayers and do what it is that you got to do. Because your body remembers. You don't have to think all deep about it. Okay? I just want to know what it's going to look like on the other side. It's going to look like what we make it. It's going to look like, see, this is the thing. We really don't know how to deal with full control. When we get full control, we like, just take me back, please. Just take me back. No. The lover said, ain't no going back. That whole system was suffering. Your old life was suffering. Yes, it was familiar. Yes, you knew how to perform that life, but that life was killing us all slowly. I just need you to know that the pandemic is a consequence of that way that we're walking away from. We are in this pandemic this way under these circumstances because of the life that we were living collectively before that. So going back to the old life just means that we're going to be in pandemic forever, or that there's going to be another tragedy that comes along and we just keep trying to grasp and hold on to this thing that's dying anyway. Don't you know when to let it go and say no? Just let it go. When it's dying, it's dying. Take that bitch off life support and let it go. She been brain dead for a long time. Hasn't been functioning in the full consciousness of her faculties in a long time. And I'm talking about the ways that led us to this point. YouTube, please hold on. Instagram, I'm going to turn this off and then I'm going to restart this so I can take your question. One person left a question in the box. Please re-ask your question when I start this over. Thank you all so much for tuning in Instagram. This will be up on YouTube for you to view later if you missed it or you don't get it all or you miss it in time. Okay? I'm coming back though. All right, YouTube. What's the questions? What's your questions that you have for me on YouTube? What's your questions? Okay. What's your questions? Hi, Instagram. I am back. Now, questions does not mean I'm pulling a card. Questions can be about astrology in general. Questions can be about tarot in general. Questions can be about current transits and happenings this year. Questions can be about what's going to happen, how we get here, what's going to happen. Questions can be a lot of different things. Um, so yeah. What's your questions? Instagram, it's question time. Put your questions in the question box and I'll answer your questions. Y'all want to know what's in my smoothie? I know y'all want to know. This is what's in my smoothie. This is pineapple, mango, ginger, fresh, and coconut cream. And a little apple juice to make it mix right. Hey, Tim! I think that when this all is over, I'm going to have to go to Baltimore to hang out with all of my new Baltimore girlfriends because y'all are fly. Ooh, I got questions. Y'all got questions. Let's see. How does Venus's exaltation in the conversation between Taurus and Libra? I am so happy that you asked that question. What is exaltation? Again, I just need you all to know that people don't agree with me. So don't be going on Google trying to find somebody to corroborate what I'm saying because I don't know what they're talking about. Okay, this is just my preference. I mean, that's just my preface. Venus exaltation means to raise something up from its base nature, its primal instinctual nature. So, what is the primal instinctual nature of Venus? To hover together in groups, to perform according to our assigned or designated gender roles, race, class, sexuality, to dress in a certain way, to speak in a certain way, to do certain tasks or job because I am a insert gender race here. So and this is a survival thing, right? We want to be like, hey, I'm not a threat. I'm not different. I look just like you. I'm doing all of your customs and norms. I'm the same. Like me, validate me, accept me. Please share your food with me. Please share your shelter and your resources with me, right? That's Venus. But Venus exalted in Pisces now means that Venus is subservient to Jupiter. And Jupiter wants us to make meaning and tell stories. Jupiter wants us to understand the whole of something based on just a small part. Because see, the opposite, Venus in fall in Virgo, is like, I like 1 plus 2 equals 3. This makes the most sense. Or I don't know what I like because A has 3 corners and B has 6 corners. Which one is the appropriate amount of corners, right? It's totally disconnected from any kind of personal subjective in Virgo. But in Pisces, Venus exalts our relational nature to one that comes together not just for aesthetic purposes, but we can actually make meaning in relationships. For me, this is like, oh, so humans don't just have sex and eat food for survival. Oh, you mean I could have sex for a purpose that I give it? I can eat food for a meaning and purpose I give it? I can relate based on a meaning and purpose that we give it, that we decide what it means. It doesn't just mean procreation. It doesn't just mean survival. It can mean something else, right? That's what humans do. Okay, let me take a question here from YouTube. I heard that tonight is a good night to manifest with the full moon. Let me just tell y'all real quick. Rituals ain't my mofo, ain't my thing. I mean, my mojo, they're not my thing. But let me just tell you, new moons and full moons are malefic. Sun opposite moon. If you have it in your birth chart, you know you're not feeling it. Okay? So when the sun is opposed to the moon and it's applying, don't do it. Leave your full moon rituals for after the moon has reached its fullness. At this point, you need to wait until the moon moves Scorpio. Personally, I would really hold off on doing any of your moon magic. If you're going to do moon rituals, it is to come into awareness and clarity of things you've been hiding from yourself or that have been hidden from you by experience or circumstance. But in general, like, don't mess with new and full moons. Like, you can find other ways to do rituals. New and full moons aren't even that real magic bag, to be honest. You need to learn about planetary hours, exaltations, and elections if you're really trying to do that magic with astrology. Okay. How does the full moon in Scorpio affect the Venus retrograde in terms of relationships? Ivy, you need to rewind the video and watch from the top. I'm an exclusively sidereal astrologer, and everything in this is about sidereal. So the full moon is in Libra and Venus is in Taurus, and I answered your question at the beginning. What's Mars' role in this full moon? I'm going to be talking more about Mars when we get to the new moon because it's fresh in Aquarius and that background drum is still beating. But Aquarius is the sign of self-determination and conceiving of a self outside of the race, gender, class designations that we have been assigned. It's being able to conceptualize a self or an identity with language and outside of what our physical instinctual nature might be, appear, or assigned as. So take that how you want it. Okay, question on Instagram. Is this moon for manifestation? Already asked that. Can you touch more on the up and coming retrogrades and how they may play out? No, I cannot, because I've already done a blog post on it and I've already done a video. There is a video on my YouTube channel called Love is Blind Quarantine Edition. It's on the Venus retrograde, and there is a post on my blog at thepeoplesoracle.com called Social Skills. It has 15 journaling questions at the end that you can answer based on your own life and interpret the Venus retrograde for yourself. And if you really want to get more deeply into it, you can purchase a printed and bound copy of my 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide or download the PDF off of my website and get some freebies with both. Okay. Let's see, we are on YouTube again. How does the longing that comes from the Six of Cups relate to the Libra guilt? Ooh, I can't even make that thread connect right now. Sorry. Are you a Virgo? No, I am not a Virgo. Geez Louise. I don't have no Virgo, nothing. Today is my, that's not a question. Can you speak to how the astrology now is similar to the Civil War? I get the consortiums of states that are legally succeeding. I get the new freedom, but what are the planetary similarities? The planetary similarities really have to do with the Aries ingress chart, which I have outlined those similarities in a blog post on my blog called A Self-Determined Nation that connects 2019, 2020, and 2021 back to the 1860s, the days or the years leading up to, during, and after the Civil War in America. But the sign in question is Aquarius, and if you want to know more about that, it's on my blog. You can search for A Self-Determined Nation. That's the name of the blog post. Okay, let's see here. Someone on Instagram asked, what are some good astro resources? Everything on my blog, my Twitter account, and in my online shop. My goal for everything that I do is for you to use astrology. Learning astrology, bleh. Using astrology, yes. Why? Because learning astrology is concepts. Who's going to teach you how to apply it? Me. Don't worry about learning astrology. You know how to speak a language without reading or writing it. You know how to walk without understanding the ways that your legs work. You can use astrology without knowing what every little thing means. And when you know what every little thing means, it confuses you because you don't have the proper context to understand what's relevant. That's why I created this, because it gets you using your sidereal birth chart without having to go through what every little thing means. The whole point is to use astrology. Unless you're going to be a professional astrologer, learning astrology is really a waste of your time. I'm telling you. If you are learning astrology to use astrology, you can go straight to using it today. I promise you. Okay, let's see what is here on YouTube. Should I ignore commonly known astrology and go by sidereal? Yes, you should. What are some appropriate activities to do for this full moon in Libra? There are no appropriate activities to do during a full moon in Libra. Your activity for any astrological event is to look around at your life and the world around you. Your life and your world is speaking astrology to you 24/7. But I promise you, and I mean this, I'm not trying to poo on anybody, but I'm telling you because I know it to be fact, and I have the feedback from the people who are using my stuff to know it to be true, that tropical makes you look in the wrong direction. You don't even know what to look for in Libra because they keep telling you that Libra is indecisive and fake. Where do you find that in the world? I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You don't even know what Libra looks like in the room that you're in, right? I'll tell you what Libra looks like in this room. It looks like us living in this house for the past 17 years and the walls not collapsing because there are laws around how stuff is supposed to be built, right? So you must learn where to look. I'm telling you, this is where to start. I give you a few words for each planet sign and house, and that's all you need, okay? Let's see. Is there anything else here? How would Venus in Taurus in the 12th house affect someone's relationships and isolation? I'm not sure if you're talking about a transit, and I'm not sure if you're talking about a natal placement. So it's really hard for me to answer that question. But Venus in the 12th house in general, whether by transit, can often mean long distance relationships or relationships where you are estranged emotionally or physically. So I don't know. What did I miss here? Y'all were saying some funny stuff. Please ask questions in the question box because if you're on Instagram, because if you're just putting them there, I just can't see them. It's scrolling too fast. Tam said people need to stop worrying so much about moon rituals. Right. Like, I understand that you guys want to get into the flow and tap into the flow and have some sense of agency and spiritual power, but your spiritual power does not come from working rituals. Your spiritual power comes from working through your own inner guck that you keep looking around for somebody else to tell you what it is. Spiritual power comes from facing your demons, radical honesty, and really digging through your trauma and working through those things toward healing. That's where spiritual power comes, recognizing your wounds and working to acknowledge them. When you really get spiritual power, it teaches you compassion and empathy because you realize that you're not really special in the sense that you have suffered, and it allows you to accept and understand the suffering that other people have been through. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. I don't do full moon rituals. I don't do magic. I don't do that stuff because I don't play with that stuff. It's not a game, and it's not just for hobbies. Like, I really feel like what God has for me is for me, and I'm trying to tap into what God has for me. And the way that I do that is I look around and pay attention to my life. I don't need to, right? And if I ever were to engage in any ritual and magic, trust me, I will be going to Tam for her baths when she comes back. I will be going to Juju Bay. I will be going to Tatiana Tarot. I will be going to these women who have done the work and know what they're talking about. I don't play with that stuff. I'm being dead serious. I do not play with that stuff. I'm not scared of it. I have reverence for it. I have reverence for it. Right? My ritual is, where is the moon today? How has this moon been for me in the past? What, like for me, ritual for me is when the moon is in Virgo, I can get stuff done. So I pay attention to my iCal in my calendar. And when the moon is in Virgo, I plan for making to-do lists and finishing tasks under that Virgo moon, because I know for me personally, I am very, very, very productive and can focus and don't have distractions under the Virgo moon. And I have a product for you that will help you do that. It's called the Monthly Horoscope Workbook. Right? The monthly horoscope workbook teaches you how to use a specific chart called the lunar return chart and to interpret it so you have your personalized monthly horoscope every month. It's in my store. Download it. Y'all don't be going to my store. You be asking me questions, and everything you need to use astrology today, right now, is in there. Go get it, boo. Okay. Let's see. Have you heard of Egyptian astrology? Is that similar to sidereal? I want to go by the OG system. I really don't deal with that kind of stuff. I'm not in a competition to see who's the real astrology. I'm trying to figure out what actually works. And so I've been studying astrology for 13 years. This is my second astrology business. I switched to the sidereal zodiac 7 years into my study. I had already had a business and clients, and I just went ghost because I was like, I have some studying and work to do. And when I emerged as the People's Oracle in November 2016. And here we are. And all of the content that I've created and things that I'm sharing with you guys today and on here is a consequence of my own study and my work that I have been putting in. So I really want you guys to like get out of these, like, you know, I know as people, we want to feel deeply connected to something real and meaningful. And so we often get into these competitions around who was here first and who said it first and who used it first. Personally, I'm not Egyptian. I don't live in ancient Egypt. So I don't really know how their astrology is actually useful for me, because I don't even live in their culture and society. I don't live in their climate. I don't have a river Nile. So I'm trying to be here right now in the world and life that I live. I need something politically, socially, and spiritually relevant to the present moment. And I'm sorry, I'm not Egyptian. Okay, let's see. Do you have any reading recommendations working with shame and guilt? Let me think about that. I might have to ask around for you, Jeffrey Paul. I don't know, but check my Twitter account. I might post it later, or if you're on Twitter, please ask me and I can share the question with my followers. And I've got a lot of cool different people following me, and they might be able to answer that question a little bit better than me. Let's see. Nikki asked, when is our workbook session going to be? Don't fight me. Our workbook session is going to be, I'm going to just show you my calendar, and then I want you to tell me, when is our workbook session going to be, Nikki? Oh, a lot of people, Jeffrey Paul, are saying Brene Brown has some good stuff on shame. Yeah, I did watch her special on HBO. It's pretty good. So Brene Brown has some good stuff on shame. You're welcome, Martha. I'm back on YouTube. Sam, you're welcome. So someone says, to get a proper birth chart, do I need to know my birth time? Why is that important? Astrology is the segmenting and interpreting of time. And so time is the very factor. Hold on. Let me let my child in this room. I'm coming, Pooh. Hold on. I gotta take this microphone off, though. Sorry for all the noise. I'll be right back. I feel like I should do the rest of this like it's an ASMR video. Do you like it when I just whisper like this? No, I'm not done, but I just opened the door so you can come in. What you need? You want some cake? Do you guys like it when I do this as an ASMR video on YouTube? I realize that the people on Instagram probably can't hear me, but maybe you guys can hear me here. Okay, sorry. I'm just playing with y'all. I'm just playing. Having a good time. Okay, let me put that back. Oops. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, what other questions here? Do house placements change in Sidereal? You have to pull up your chart. It really is unique to each individual chart. All right, what else we got here? What does divinity mean to you? I love that question. Divinity to me means the divinity is not something, or the divine, the God, the godly is not something that exists separate from us out there. Divinity to me is like consciousness. You can't see it, you can't measure it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, but the evidence of it is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in the order of the universe. It's in the patterns, the Fibonacci sequence, the plants and the photosynthesis and the viruses and the depths of the ocean. It's everywhere. I made chocolate cake, gluten-free and vegan. Let's see. That's divinity too. Can you link the practitioners recommended along with Juju Bay somewhere? Absolutely. They will be in the comments to this video. So let me, where's my notebook of actual notes? I'm going to write it down. That's not my notebook. Where is it? It's probably on that couch over there. Where did you get the deck you just used? Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. It's Jasmine, I think. My deck is from Labyrinthos. It's called the Golden Thread Tarot. They have an app in the App Store. They have a YouTube page. An Instagram page. Sorry, it's backwards on here. Just gonna have to deal. Golden Thread Tarot. That's what it's called. Okay, let's see here. Learning about all of this, everyone seems to do things different and tell you different things. Yes, everyone has an opinion, but your spiritual work is cultivating discernment. At the end of the day, you can't rely on what I tell you, and you can't rely on what any of these other practitioners tell you. You have to develop your own capacity to discern what is truth for you. There are no hard and fast rules. I know people want to be told what to do. They want to be told what the right thing to do and what the wrong thing to do is. I can only tell you what I do and why I do what I do. And if it resonates with you, great. But don't copy what I do, what I tell you, or what anybody else tells you just because I told you or they told you. Your primary spiritual work is to develop your own discernment and the capacity to really feel, without relying on intellectual logic, what really resonates for you. And I know that's really hard, and it's contrary to the way our structure is our society is structured. Our society is structured in a very hierarchical way, and we want to have a daddy or a leader or a pastor or a guru to tell us what things are. But I'm telling you, don't even listen to me. Yeah, I want you to tune in and I want you to buy my stuff. I need money. I work really hard and I know what I'm talking about. But do you know that I know what I'm talking about? And how can you discern and know whether me or anybody else knows what they're talking about? You understand what I'm saying? There's no hard and fast answers to this. There's no black and white answers, right? Obviously, first rule, do no harm, right? Protect yourself. But other than that, I don't have any hard and fast questions or answers for you. Somebody just asked, how do or can we find our primary spiritual discernment? How did you discover yours? For me, it really has been a calling in the sense that I was just thinking of this yesterday while I was out and about, how I really knew that being psychic and spirits and ghosts and all that stuff was real when I was a kid. I remember being 6 and just knowing that my cat was seeing ghosts and shit, or that I would see those Psychic Friends network infomercials late at night. And while I knew they were probably fake, I knew that that stuff was real. And I kind of like, my whole life was, I wanted to encounter the divine. I wanted to encounter the spiritual. I wanted to encounter the intangible. Like I wanted my own personal encounter. And so I sought it out. I grew up Pentecostal. I grew up, speaking in tongues, getting baptized in Jesus' name with the Holy Ghost. And there was very little containers for real spiritual gifts. And once I broke away from the church, that's when my spiritual gifts really started to flourish. I already knew how to interpret dreams. I remember it as a teenager, we were actually in our church youth group and somebody started sharing a dream and it was like vivid as day. It's like I knew exactly what their dream meant. And that's when I was a teenager. I'm 36 now. So some of these are just gifts that I have, but I think we all have the capacity to develop this kind of spiritual discernment by interrogating our own assumptions and belief systems and not taking things at face value or for granted. I think that's the blessed place to start. Always ask why. If somebody tries to come at you with some historical evidence for something, ask why. If people are trying to establish dominance based on that historical evidence, ask why. Ask why. Why is your friend? Why will lead you to wisdom? Why will lead you to discernment? May not lead you to answers, but it will lead you to discernment. Let's see here. What else? What are the main differences between planets and houses? They're two totally different things. Planets are people, houses are places. Are you your house? No. Can you be in more than one room at the same time? No. Right? Are there certain rooms you like to be in? Yes. All of those things are true about planets. Planets can't be in more than one room at the same time or more than one house in your birth chart. Planets prefer being in some houses, like Venus prefers the fifth house, Jupiter prefers the 11th house, Mars prefers the 6th house, Saturn prefers the 12th house, Mercury the 1st, Moon the 3rd, Sun the 9th, so on and so forth, right? Planets are people first, right? Houses are topics, places. They can also be body parts, right? They can represent relationships with particular people, like the 4th house is our relationship with our Father, or the ruler of the 4th house can be, right? That planet that rules the 4th house can represent Father, right? That's that. Any other questions? Someone asked, oh, this is such a great question, Jihad Muhammad. What does subjectivity mean to you? Subjectivity means that it is contained as a sense or perceptive experience inside of me, right? So my experience of my body is subjective. Objective means to objectify. Subjective means to make it the subject, right? So to be the subject means me, my body, my feelings, my perception. Objective means to take me, my feelings, my body, my perception, and measure it against some external to make it an object, right? So just think of the word subject and object. Subject is like to be about something. It's about me. Object means to make it an object and disidentify. Subject means identify. Object means disidentify. Let's see here. Ooh, y'all just asking a lot of questions. Aya asked, could you explain the difference between what the ascendant represents and the moon? Very good. So planets, including the sun and moon, are people first, right? Planets occupy signs. Signs point to planets. So signs point to people, right? Planets in signs help to establish a hierarchy of priorities and influence in our lives so that when a planet is in a sign, it's pointing to a person, right? So our moon represents mother, but moon is not always in Cancer, so it's not always answering to itself. Sometimes the moon is in Scorpio, and so the moon is pointing to Mars. And so that means my physical, emotional survival and autonomy right? Mother, home, and family is subservient to that. So I got to survive at all costs, even if that means I don't belong, or even if it means I'm not with my mother. Sometimes it means the mother herself has gone through some kind of abuse, severance, or separation that leaves us disconnected from our family and focus more on a personal sense of survival rather than the shared burden of survival that comes with being included in a family group. Okay? So the ascendant is a point. There are three other points in the chart that are relevant to the ascendant: the midheaven, descendant, and the IC or the Imam Coli. These points are really giving us clues to a different house system. If you have my ebook on the houses, I explain why I don't combine the midheaven as a point to be interpreted like a house, because it's two different systems that kind of got coalesced and meshed at some point in history. If you want to know more about that, I have it in my ebook on the houses, which is in my online shop.thepeoplesoracle.com. But the ascendant is really marking the sign that is rising, and that's really the function of the ascendant. It also has another function, as all points, all of those other points I listed do, which have to do with visibility. So something on the ascendant is rising, literally on the eastern horizon. Something on the midheaven is at the apex, the top where the sun would reach its peak. Anything at the IC is in the nadir. And these points confer power, right? Or the capacity to influence. So when it comes to it really understanding the difference between the ascendant and the moon, though, it's really a nuance of the ascendant is determining the rising sign, and it is a point that can confer influence, right? And the moon is a person shaped, an aspect of yourself shaped by your relationship. So planets are relational, points are proximal. Like the ascendant is proximal. I'll be sounding like Spock on here. I'll be like, the apex of the proximal nadir to the deferential point of proximity. How do y'all tolerate me? I can't tolerate myself. Oh, you're welcome. Jesus Christ. When did you start studying your son's natal chart? As soon as I woke up from my emergency cesarean section, girl. I was like, what was the time he came out? And I pulled it up on my phone. I was still groggy, trying to get the baby on my nipple, and I pulled up his birth chart. What do you mean, wait? My son's, let me put that up here. I'm going to tell you this. Parenting with astrology, I got a reading. I even got a whole course and seminar that I really want to put together with you, for you guys, on parenting with astrology. Oh my God, it is just revolutionary, groundbreaking. Imagine understanding that catering to your child's Mars, empowering your child's Mars empowers your child and actually leads them to be more cooperative with you. If you make them feel autonomous, powerful, and free, in some circumstances, you cater to their Mars, right? You can encourage. Like my kid has Mars in Virgo, right? He is very literal. He needs things written down, right? Trying to get him to accomplish things via willpower, no. He doesn't have Mars in a fire sign, so he is not going to be the person who is motivated because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Mars and Virgo is motivated because they have the tools and have a process and a method, right? Those are the kind of things that help with my parenting. I do have a reading, and it's called Intentional Parenting with Astrology. Yeah. Somebody said, I've seen questions about if looking at the child's natal chart is an invasion of privacy. First of all, half of y'all mofos don't know enough about astrology to even look at that chart and know what it is that you're looking at. Like, people just need to stop. People be like, I'm not telling you your birth time. It's like, you guys don't even know what the lot of fortune is. You're like, I'm going to be lucky and rich. And it's just like, yeah. like, oh my God, people. Like everyone just needs to stop. Like everyone just needs to chill. Everyone needs to relax and be easy. You know what I'm saying? Like just be easy. Like people really like people really like ugh, ugh, I gotta go. That's enough of that. Okay. What did I miss here? Do you have any thoughts, re Venus as Lucifer as the light bringer? Yes. This is what Venus as the morning star means, because Venus as a morning star means that early in the morning, before you even see the sun, and you might just see a little glimpse of her shimmery light, you're going to see Venus rising, right? When Venus is about to station retrograde, like right now, Venus is a morning star. So if you live in Chicago, actually, and it's a nice sunny day, you can go right over to the lake and sit there. Well, you can't because social distancing and the lakes are closed. But theoretically, you could go over there, you can sit at the lake, and you can watch the sunrise, right? But before the sun rises, you're going to see this little mystical, little shimmery, kind of pretty little thing called Venus rising. And she's the morning star, right? That's what that means. Ushering in the light. The Dalai Lama, there's a concept called Doryphory, or it's called Doryphory, Doryphory, and there is another term for that starts with an S, but it is describing a planet that is in the same sign as the sun, rising before or after the sun, depending on the chart if is nocturnal or diurnal. If you want to learn you something, go look at that. Okay. Is that why they say the best time for sex is in the morning? I have no idea. Never heard of that in my life. Um, When is your album dropping? Little did you guys know that in my former life, I was a vocal coach. I still coach vocals. I actually had a student come back earlier this year. My former career is actually as a musician. I play a few instruments, sing, write. You can go to my SoundCloud if you want to hear me sing. I mean, you can find me on Spotify. Just look up DaynaLN on Spotify, and there's songs on there. You should listen to. Oh, I got a version of Makes Me Want to Holler on there with this group called the Drastics. It's called Naya Bingy Blues. Hey Jessica. Jessica can sing. Don't she be trying to tell me I can't even do all that stuff Jessica be doing. Um, and I have an album on Spotify. It's called The Call. So it's old. It's like 10 years old. But if you want to listen to it, it's up there. I even have some songs on Bandcamp. You can find me on Bandcamp. Go look up Electric Mind EP on Bandcamp, and you can hear me sing it. I love that stuff. That's like the stuff that I did most recently, like before life was like, girl, you about to be a mama and you gonna be an astrologer. I don't know what you were thinking about being a musician professionally, but that's not what you're gonna do. And I was like, life was like, no, I'm serious. You're not gonna do it. You're gonna be right. What else here? I would like to book a vocal coach session with you. How can we do that? Do a reading for artists in conjunction. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna tell you guys something really fascinating. Right before I started the People's Oracle, I had spent that summer working with the Lyric Opera of Chicago on this. It was their first time doing this program called Chicago Voices, and they had a competition for Chicago area nonprofits to have their story told via an original musical with the Lyric Opera. So I got hired as a songwriter and music director composer for one of the groups who was having their story sold. So that was like a dream job of mine. Like I really wanted to get back into musical theater. I really wanted to get back into composing for musical theater. And when I got that job, I was like, yes, we are about to do it. We're about to, we're really about to get into this songwriting and musical theater stuff, man. Like Hamilton really inspired me. It was great music, all of that stuff. And so like I had tried to I think I was still teaching at that time. I sure was. I was working for my brother. I was writing an original musical, scoring it, music directing, wasn't seeing clients yet. I was teaching private lessons, teaching group classes. And then I created this program. and I invited some of my former vocal coaching students, and it was called, oh shoot, now I can't even remember the name of it. But this is a whole. It was a whole program. What it was called, the Intentional Artist Method. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was, see, I was using that word intentional all along. It was called the Intentional Artist Method, and let me see, Intentional Artist Model. That's what it was called. The Intentional Artist Model, and um, right. Dang, I forgot about this. It was like, oh, this is it right here. This was like the thing, the Intentional Artist Model, and it was called For Singers Called to Be Artists. Um, and it was these like six different components of like a holistic. It was really like a self development, self artist development program. So like back in the day, and if you ever watched that show Hollywood, on Netflix, you can see some glimpses of this. And if you know anything about Motown, you can see some glimpses of this as well. That when you were signed as an artist, you went to finishing school, you were taught to speak in this mid-Atlantic accent. Um, you got this brand created around you. But one of the big benefits of being signed was like you can get your artist and repertoire at the record label, and they're shaping your sound, they're shaping your image, they're partnering you up with producers. And a lot of that was imposed on you, but we also got like some great artists like little Stevie Wonder. Even that whole name is this development around him being this childhood prodigy, right? So the Intentional Artist Model was about me. And I'm going to turn this stream off on YouTube because this is going on forever. I love y'all on YouTube. Come join me on Instagram if you still want to chat. Okay? Bye.